Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Welcome to this week's Sunday chat. We have got some orchids this time. I'm not going to do a spotlight as such, but although I normally do this sort of thing at the end, this is a bit special this time. I usually do the thank yous for the support of the channel and all that sort of stuff, but this is a little bit different. Because for once I'm going to do a name check, because to me it's important. When I put the video up saying, am I going to go to Burnham's, what do you think it's a good idea, all that sort of thing, I was inundated with comments saying, have you not gone yet? Basically encouraging me to go. But whenever I go to Burnham's, as I've been waiting for a gap in the showers, but unfortunately we might not get one, so we might get some heavy rain on the roof. Unfortunately, when I go to Burnham's, I've always got my hand on my pocket thinking, don't spend too much, go careful, you don't need to buy loads of orchids, and that worry goes with me. And it can take a bit of the enjoyment away, because I might see like 4 orchids that I really like, but I can only really take 1 or maybe 2. This time was different because in amongst all those comments were super chats, and some of them were what I would call over extravagant on behalf of the sender, and greatly appreciated on my part, because it took the edge right off the day, and I just sort of went thinking, well, whatever I see I'm going to get. So some names then, super chats that contributed to my day out and the new orchids and a very nice day we had. So Nancy Johnston, Wanda Shaw, Michelle Fucarino, I think that is, and a part name, Neko70. So those people contributed via the super chats. Thank you very much. And then behind the scenes, which I don't find out until I go into my actual email account that goes with this channel, which I don't necessarily do every day, but in there I'll get a notification that somebody's used Buy Me a Coffee. Now with Buy Me a Coffee you can do it semi-anonymous. So I end up with a message saying someone bought you 3 coffees or something like that. It just says someone. So but unfortunately within the app Buy Me a Coffee, if I go down into there, anybody that's used the system, I can choose to reply. And when I choose to reply, I see their email. And most people's emails got at least part of their name in. So sorry about that, that's just the way the system works. So people who contributed via the Buy Me a Coffee, we've got Jax B. Work, Kathy, Chris Smitz and Sean Rice during the day. So that contribution came in while I was out spending the money. Cheers, Sean. So there we go. That's some really good contributions to that day. Now I bought 3 orchids. I could have bought more, but you know, it's like I've always said, there's so much space, and one of the ones I've got is enormous. But you're not going to see that one today. I'll film it today because I need to get it unwrapped and out of its packing. Yeah, packing I'll call it. It's a box. Yeah. I'll give you a clue. It's got a hanger. It was hanging in the roof. Now that's got you thinking, hasn't it? You'll be wrong. You'll be wrong. Right, so anyway, I went, I had a nice day. I didn't stop in my normal place for breakfast, which is traditional on that journey, and certainly when Ling comes, that's where we always stop. But it takes too long, and I didn't leave early. I left at 8:15 in the morning. Which should have got me there about 10:30, 11:15, which is plenty early enough. It's not like a show where you're racing to be first in to get first look at what's for sale. It wasn't that sort of day. And the idea was that instead of paying money into breakfast at a venue that's nothing to do with Burnham's, if I have my breakfast when I get to Burnham's, it goes in Burnham's pot. Yeah? So yeah, I got there and I had scrambled egg with beans and bacon and some separate toast, scrambled egg on toast, beans, bacon and some separate toast, and a large coffee. I needed the large coffee after that journey with no coffee. We don't have periods of no coffee in the mornings, a constant supply. Anyway, so that set me up to look round and do my filming and chat to a few people and things. Quite a couple of long quiet chats with Sarah. She came in while I was having me breakfast and said hello and nice to see you and all that sort of stuff. Arthur wasn't there, it was his day off. Opening on that Saturday, yesterday, was apparently quite a last minute decision. Sarah was just looking through at the calendar to see what was coming up like Christmas time. She thought, there's a Saturday there which I think we should be open, we'll open. So she had one other member of staff in, plus herself obviously, and two in the cafeteria. So yeah, just four staff in to cope with the day. They didn't get a lot of people in, and that leads on to something else that doesn't normally happen at Burnham's. While I was doing a couple of my filming trips, there wasn't anybody in the nursery, so I could narrate them as I went. Yeah, without people thinking, who's that idiot talking to? Like you do. So a couple of the clips have got me narrating, and you'll be pleased to hear Sarah was fine about me going into the private area, the staff only one, and obviously there was nobody in there. See, there are times when I go when there are people in there, they're working. You know, it's a working nursery. And on that front, I saw a bit of the nursery that I didn't know existed. It was hiding. I was talking to Sarah about seedlings and flasks and, you know, where do you get your flasks from? And she said, well, we do them here. I said, what, so you've got a lab? She said, yes, we've got a lab. I said, well, where the hell? I'd thought I'd been into every nook and cranny in that nursery. She said, it's hiding. It's in a special place where nobody would ever think of looking. And basically there's a little sort of room off of the back area where they do all their potting and everything that just looks nondescript. You sort of think, well, it's just like a little area, a little sort of storage place like that. Ah, but there's a door in there, and you open up the door and there's the lab. They got all the flasks and jars of all the little seedlings, some just germinated, some filling up the jars ready to be taken out and potted up separately. They got the sterilising unit, autoclave or whatever it's called, and the bit where all the taking the seeds out is. Flow chamber, yeah, flow chamber. And then there's all artificial lighting on all the shelves and everything, all on timers. There's a little heater in there. So yeah, they've got a lab, and they do, she said, we only ever do species though in the lab. So we do, you know, we do get pods off of some of the mother plants that are strong enough to be able to produce the pods properly. Then we produce the seed and we get up to the seedling stage here, pop them up, and then they're ready for sale. They go out in the nursery. And you'll see in the clips in the nursery that evidence of that going on, because you'll see a whole area of nothing but the same seedlings, you know, perhaps 50, you know, in small pots. Well, that's where they end up, as the seedlings. I personally don't tend to buy orchids at that stage, but they did have some nice ones there. So anyway, a nice day out. I left quite early in the afternoon on the grounds that I thought, well, if I've done the filming that I want to do, I've bought the orchids that I want, and if I get on and go now, I'll be able to drive home in the daylight, which is always a bit more, you know, a bit pleasurable than just driving in the dark looking at a set of lights in front of you, following a pair of red lights, because that's what it's like in the dark, isn't it? Especially on the country roads. So yeah, so I came home relatively early. Now, An update on our Cymbidium experiment with the bloom type fertiliser, which it says on the tin should produce more compact spikes, possibly with bigger blooms depending on the genetics of the plant, and brighter, more sharply contrasting colours. Well, the first of the Cymbidiums is open, and I can safely say those colours are deeper and brighter, and the blooms are not the same as they were last year when I bought it in bloom. They are different and they are brighter. Almost looks more like a species than a hybrid now, but I'll swing the camera around just to give you a clue. There aren't any blooms fully open yet, they're all in that sort of cup shape, but you can see the colours and the patterning and everything. So we'll have a look at that. And yeah, there's blooms opening on 2 spikes, not on the 3rd one, and there are some well opening on one of the spikes. So I mean, we've effectively got 2 9s and a 10 on that one orchid. Yeah, so whatever that is, 38 blooms, does that sound right? 10, no, 28. Come on, Roger, do your maths. Well, I haven't got a calculator, that's what they're for, doing maths. So that's that. I'll be opening or unwrapping, it's not an unboxing, it's an unwrapping of the 2 of the orchids that I got yesterday. And then the 3rd one I will film today and probably post tomorrow. And I've certainly got enough clips from Burnham's to put together 2 or 3 videos. There are 2 quite long ones because I was narrating them, yeah? So I was walking relatively slowly talking about what I was seeing as I went. So that's one of those is the private area and one of them is one of the nursery areas. I couldn't narrate the sales area where most of the blooming orchids are kept because there was always people there, so it wouldn't have been appropriate. So yes, so a good day out all round, and yet again thanks for everybody who supports the channel and, you know, looks forward to what's coming, hopefully. So, and that's where we are, that is what's coming basically. We've got one more. Okay, it's half an unboxing and half an unwrapping because it's in a box where it's so big, but it's wrapped. So we haven't got to open the box as such, it's an open top box. Yeah, touring box. Yeah. Which I will film later today, and then I can post that tomorrow. It's quite a plant. Quite honestly, it was in the sales area, or sort of, and my eye just kept getting drawn to it. While I was looking at all the other stuff, while I was filming, while I was chatting, my eye just kept moving round and looking at it and thinking, I wonder. And in the end, I talked to Sarah about it, and I said, okay, I'll have it. Not ridiculously expensive, but yeah. If I hadn't had the donations, I probably would have left it there, let's put it like that. Anyway, so that's that. What else is going on? My diet's not doing so good now, and I've decided that I'm not worrying about what I eat or drink now until the new year. So whatever comes up and gets put in front of me, or I put in front of me, it will get eaten, and not worry about it. And if you think about yesterday, you know, I had scrambled egg on toast with bacon and beans and separate toast and a big coffee. And for lunch we had treacle sponge with clotted cream. Ah, well, there goes the diet straight away. Oh, it was delicious. Hot treacle sponge with clotted cream, absolutely beautiful. And talking of food, some people won't be interested in this at all. coming up to Christmas, Hannah always comes down for Christmas Day and Boxing Day, sometimes a bit longer. It's one of those little black flies. But we always sit down and work out what we're going to have for each meal, so that I can then make sure that we get the stuff in time, you know, and pre-order it and everything. So Christmas Day's breakfast, I've got some lovely seeded granary type bread. Now I know I don't normally have bread, but this is Christmas. So we will have garlic toast. This is toast with raw garlic, cut a bulb in half and rub it all over the hot toast so that it infuses the toast and puts a garlic flavour on the toast. That will have smoked salmon on top, and to top the smoked salmon, poached eggs. 2 poached eggs. Still runny, but obviously sealed, yeah? And then we'll have some crispy green leaves, things like rocket, what else is in there? Baby spinach leaves, that sort of stuff. And some organic on-the-vine cherry tomatoes. They're the only sort of tomatoes I like to actually eat as a tomato. Otherwise they need to be in a sandwich so that I can't see all that yucky stuff in the middle. not too keen on tomatoes. And with that we will have Bucks Fizz. So I've actually got some Prosecco and some fresh orange juice without bits in. So we will have an orangey bubbly drink to go with that. So that'll be our breakfast. And then for dinner we've got duck legs and beef. Got a beef joint and duck legs. And we'll have nice roast potatoes, honey glazed parsnips and carrots. And I've got some shallots which will be chopped up and put in with those roast vegetables. And then the garlic and shallots and things like that come out of the tray and get squashed and become part of the gravy, along with some meat juices and things. And we've got pigs in blankets. I didn't get a swede this year. Hannah absolutely loves mashed swede. I've got it diced this year because it takes an absolute age to cook. It's like cooking a brick. And we've got some stuffing balls and pigs in blankets. So that'll be our main meal. And then for pudding we've got a toffee roulade and cream. And then there's picking things like mince pies and cream if you fancy anything else, sort of thing. And then Boxing Day traditionally we have what we call a picking meal, and this is leftover cold meats, selections of cheeses, the rest of the smoked salmon, and the leaves and the tomatoes, and I've got some home bake baguettes. So we actually cook those. They're part baked, so they get finished off baking. So we have some nice fresh still warm bread to go with all of that. So that's that. And then our main meal on Boxing Day, after we've visited my son, so we're going out in the morning, which I'm not that happy about, but that's what we're going to do. It's been arranged, so we're meeting up, my son and grandson and his wife, at a seaside restaurant called the Hungry Lobster, and it's literally on the beach. You come out of the restaurant, down some steps, and you're actually on the beach. And it's open on Boxing Day, so we're meeting up there about 11 o'clock after breakfast, just for a coffee and a chat. They're on their way through. They're travelling down to Devon, so they're stopping there for a bit. Little Bodie loves playing on the beach. He likes making patterns with the stones and the shells and things. So that's that. Then we'll come back, and our main meal on Boxing Day is a curry, where all the leftover vegetables plus some others, they all go in and make a nice curry. And then I've unfortunately got to take Hannah back. Boxing Day, late afternoon, basically. So that's our food over those 2 days. And I shall need a trolley to wheel me around after that lot. That's more food in those 2 days than I'd eat in a week normally. But yeah, it's always traditional that, whatever family come round, we have nice food. So that's that. And with our roulade, as well as cream, we'll probably have ice cream as well. do it properly, eh? Right, so that's food out of the way, far too much. And I've got a really nice bottle of wine for Christmas Day. Hannah doesn't drink wine. She doesn't mind the Bucks Fizz for breakfast. She quite enjoys that because that's watered down with fresh orange juice, obviously. But she doesn't drink wine normally. Doesn't drink much at all, quite honestly. But yeah, I've got a nice bottle of red wine to go with Christmas Day. Some of which will go in the gravy, make it a bit richer. Not much. That's for going in glasses and doing that with. And I shall be starting on that while I'm prepping the vegetables in the morning, as soon as we've had breakfast, or maybe even before breakfast. I might get a fair bit of that prep done before Hannah even gets up. We shall see. So anyway, that's our 2-day break, which is all it is basically. And then back to some sort of normality for me. I don't really do anything New Year. I usually fall asleep in the chair. And the actual New Year at midnight, I'm very rarely up. I'm normally in bed. It's, you know, I've had enough by 10 o'clock. And I can always watch it on the news the next day. Oh, fireworks, Big Ben. Ah, same as last year. Doesn't do much for me, I'm afraid. It would be different if I sort of lived in Edinburgh or something and could actually be there and join in, but not here. There's nothing going on nearby, so just youngsters getting drunk in pubs, basically. Right, you can see in the background here my Miltoniopsis is still looking good. All the blooms are still with us. This Miltonia type hybrid, another bloom's opened. These spikes are very, very slow to open and the blooms last a reasonable amount of time. So that's going to be in bloom a long time because they're only opening one at a time and they're 4 or 5 days apart, if not more. So it's going to be another 3 weeks possibly before they're even all open. By then the first one will be dropping off, I expect. So that's that. All of the orchids I came home with from yesterday are actually in bloom, which means they've actually got open flowers on them, if anybody's watching. And we do have, this one is open now, so we can have a look at that. That is Lianum, Paphiopedilum lianum, which is a naturally occurring hybrid in the wild. This wasn't naturally occurring in the wild, this was naturally occurring in a laboratory, I expect. But yeah, that's just opening up. A nice example of a Paphiopedilum, nice big hood, nice patterning, nice shiny lip. So that's that. There's another bud down here lurking, pushing on. So that's recently opened in the last day or two. I don't think there's anything else apart from the Cymbidium. And what am I going to do? To unwrap plants I need 2 hands, so I'm going to have I'll have the camera on the tripod to do that. And we've got to go very careful what we're up to so that you don't see the box of the big one. Because if you saw it you could guess what's in it. And I want it to be a surprise. So we've just got to move a few things around at the moment. I shall move the virus Cymbidium. Whenever I'm working on the bench, this just goes in here, out of the way. Bit of a nuisance having to keep moving that, but it's the only practical sort of thing to do. And then we got my new leaf grabber. That needs to go out of the way. That'll have to come in here for now. That. Now I think I should be able to, if I take the camera off and we have a look at the Cymbidium first, then I'll put it back on the tripod and bring it round to point at the bench, all of which is above waist height, so you won't get to see the box which is on the floor because there isn't anywhere to put it, it's too big. Right, so we'll lift this off. So seasick time. screen round, and then we can have a look at this. Very attractive, but that's not the colour they were last time round. Now it could be a colour changer, but the patterning is much more dominant, which means the background colour, which is what went in my notes, this was classed as the bronzy coloured one. Well, the bronzy colour is the background colour. The stripes are a nice deep red, and the stripes are much more prominent this time round, so it doesn't look like a bronzy one, does it? So it has changed. I presume that is the change in feed. So maybe the experiment is working and we are going to get brighter colours with more pronounced patterning. I mean, the patterning on this is really incredibly nice. If you look up in the lip, very nice. Anyway, so that's that one. A couple opening over here as well. So slowly but surely, give it 2 weeks when all 3 spikes have got blooms open, not necessarily every one, it's going to look pretty good. It is tall though, it's not far off the roof. Right, so let me just hold that there, get the tripod out and put it sort of there. I put the camera back on. Sorry about all this waggling around, but there isn't really another sensible way to do this apart from shutting down and coming back up. And that just means more editing for me. So we should be able to turn that round now without you seeing the floor. Yeah, we'll wind it down a bit so that you can see what's going on. And here is the little box, big box out of the way so that I can just get in here. And then we can have a look at the 2 that I bought. These are the 2 smaller ones. I said to Inzi that he said, oh, because I think I said, no, I can't have said because I haven't done a video since the Am I Gonna Go video. But I said I've got something cool and something small, and he was guessing, he thought a Ristrepia. Well, no, not a Ristrepia. Right, so the first one then, we'll open this one first. This is just a hybrid, and there was quite a selection of these, not all the same. There was probably half a dozen different versions of this. Different combinations of ingredients, basically. This is, I know what it was called Brassia Hybrid, but Sarah did say, she said they're all into generics, they're not just Brassia crosses, they've got something else in there as well probably. But I liked the look of this, and it was more about the plant than the actual blooms, because it's a very nice plant. As I said, the label just says Brassia Hybrid. So we'll rubbish out the way. If I don't throw it on the floor, then I haven't got to bend down and pick it up, have I? Right, that is a good plant. Look at the growths. New growth, new growth, new growth. Yeah, new growth. And we've even got spikes coming down here. There's a spike there that's only just pushing out. We've got a spike here not open, that one's a bit bent. And then we've got 2 spikes already in bloom. So I suspect there's more spikes to come on this as time goes on. But it's a very nice plant. The bulbs are plump, the leaves are good and green, and there's lots of new growths. And I can see active root activity on the top of the plant near the base of some of these bulbs. So it's spidery nonsense. These are not giant Brassia blooms, but they're quite attractive. They are fragrant. They won't be now. this time of day. It's quite early in the day at the moment, so they won't be fragrant now. But yesterday, on a couple of occasions, the sun did break through the dull, cloudy weather that we're getting constantly now. And once the sun came in on the roof, the fragrance came out on these, so the corner where they were suddenly became quite fragrant, slightly spicy type fragrance. So that's that, Brassica type hybrid. Who knows, it might actually just be a Brassica cross without being an intergeneric, but if it is a Brassica cross, the blooms are quite small, but they're a nice colour and fragrant. So that's that one. Another one for the Oncidium Alliance collection, which is quite big in this place. That's next to the dendrobiums. There's more orchids in that collection than any others. And then this one is a replacement for an orchid that I didn't lose. Now this is unusual. It's an orchid that I had, and it had grown quite big and was becoming a bit clumsy, and I sold it. And I sold it to somebody who I could meet up on the way to Burnham's. And we met in the grazing cow car park, which is our stop for our breakfast normally. And that person bought that plant off of me, and a year or two later I sort of semi-regretted it, because it's a nice variety of a plant I've since got. But I've now got the variety back again. So that wasn't a plant I lost as such, it was actually sold. And this is the small, cool one. So, information for Insa. So what have we got then? What we've got is another Coelogyne. And if you just looked at the label, you'd think, you've already got that one. And yes, I have. It's Coelogyne cristata, but it's the variety Lemoniana, and that's the one that I sold. That's quite a nice plant. Gorgeous blooms. And can you see why this variety is called Lemoniana? Yeah, we'll be totally wrong. I love doing that. This was described by I believe, doctor, certainly Mr. Lemon. And the variety Lemoniana is after his surname, not the colour in the lip, like lots of people think. Like you just did, probably. Apart from the know-it-alls. But anyway, it's a nice spike. We've got another 2 or 3 blooms to open. We've got 2 open blooms, so that's good. And it's not a bad plant. I won't say it's a brilliant plant, but it does have another spike over here. How many blooms we'll get on that spike, I don't know, but it's a division, and I would suggest that when it was divided, the spikes were already there. So those spikes have not grown on this small division. The division already had the spikes in progress to one degree or another. But it's been in this pot a long time. Look at the algae and the moss on the top. So this isn't a recent division. It was done a while ago. So hopefully it's got some reasonable roots in there. I'm not going to lift it out now, but hopefully we've got some reasonable roots. So yes, I've always liked this variety, and I've had my eye out to replace it for some time now, and I think the last visit to Burnham's I did notice this variety, some divisions, and I looked at them and I thought they're a bit small. I wonder if they've rooted. Whereas this time round I'm quite happy that this is probably rooted in nicely, and more importantly it's in bloom. There's lots of orchid types, Coelogynes being one. They always say don't buy them blind. Always try and see the blooms before you buy the plant, because they're variable. And you might buy one having seen the picture of the blooms, and when yours actually blooms, they're not like the picture and you don't like them as much. So always try and get them in bloom if you can, rather than buy blind. So there we go, that's 2 of the 3 orchids that I got. And the other one, the box, will take up my workbench. The box is that big. You're still guessing, aren't you? You probably aren't going to get it. The clue it was hanging up in the roof is a teaser that is there to mislead you completely. But it was hanging up in the roof. The hanger's still on it. I won't be hanging it in the roof. I've got to find somewhere for it to go, which is a little bit awkward. But I will make room for it. It will have a star place for a while it's in bloom, and it is in bloom. It's got about 5 spikes on it, and one. It's funny actually. It's got 4 or 5 spikes, and 1 spike with no open blooms yet. So the description could be in bloom with 1 or 2 developing spikes. And where have you heard that expression before? Only this time it's true. So there we go. That's part of what I've got, and I will film the other one once I break off and get this processed. I'll come back in and film the other one, the unwrapping stroke unboxing. It's not an unboxing, it's a lifting out the box thing. But it had to lie down in a box to be able to protect the spikes. And it was the last one. The last one. As Sarah said, there were 3 hanging up and 2 of them sold yesterday. So I had the last one. And if it had been a busy Saturday, which it wasn't, I suspect somebody else would have had that. It's quite a stunner, and yeah, so that'll do for today. Thanks for the support for the channel in whatever shape or form, including watching the videos, doing the thumbs up, subscribing if you're not subscribed already, and yeah, leaving a comment. It all helps the channel. YouTube just likes the channel to be busy. It looks for busy, yeah? It's, that I heard, it's not a joke as such, it's a little story. One of the stand-up comedians that does stories rather than jokes, if you know what I mean. And he'd recently been on holiday, and it had suddenly dawned on me. You know, you settle down on the plane, you look out the window and have a look around the airport and all this, that and the other, and the engines start up. And after you've taken off, the captain comes on the tannoy. He said, they're always posh people. Yeah? They're always well-spoken posh people. And it's a relaxing feeling. It makes you feel safe. You know? Good afternoon, this is Captain Falconswar speaking to you. And we'll be travelling down to Malaga today. We should be arriving 5 or 10 minutes early as we have a following wind. Sit back, relax and enjoy the journey. I'll speak to you soon. And then he purported, what would happen if that was a Scouser? You're right, our kids, settle down, come on, settle down. You'd panic, wouldn't you? Say, I'm not flying with her. It just tickled me. But at the end of the day, there must be some pilots that have accents, regional accents. I've never had any, they've always talked posh. Perhaps you have to learn posh in flying school and pilot training. I don't know. Anyway, I will see you next time. Thanks for dropping by, and thanks for the support for my day out yesterday. It's very nice to go to Burnham's without the worry of, you know, what if I spend too much? I can't afford it really. The rent's due soon, and all. It just took that worry away. The donations that came in via the super chats and the buy me a coffee app covered the day, with some left over effectively, and the what's left over will stay in the pot for another time. As far as buying orchids are concerned, the next thing that will come up, because I'm not buying online, that last episode put me off for a while, but the next actual show that I will go to will be Bournemouth Orchid Society show at the end of February. I think it's the last Saturday in February, and that will be the next opportunity to buy some orchids. I spoke to Sarah about that, and she may well come. She said that show's got a bit busier than what Arthur can handle on his own. She said he was run off his feet last time, so she may come as well. If it's a busy show, then they both turn up, then they both serve and give advice and all that sort of thing. So I said, well, I may see you there, maybe not. If not, say hello to Arthur for me, and I'll certainly see him at the end of February. So there we go. Bye for now. See you next time.